Hello, 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 Instagram family, friends. Y'all, how are you? Come into this space. I am dropping in. If you don't know, my name is Natalie Warren. I get to be the owner and founder of a personal development company that houses so many areas for wealth and for well being. And I just wanted to drop in and talk with you. I have a special friend that's going to join me in a second. We're going to talk about the act of self love. And I get to serve in my work many times women primarily, but in helping them to understand the act of self love. Self love. I see my friend Denise is here. I don't know if it'll let you join in. Denise, if you can hear me, send me a request. Yes. Of something that I have grown in. I get to support women grow in something that I know so many other women are still working through, being able to actively and intentionally love themselves in so many ways. So, Denise, I hope it's working for you to join me because just a brief conversation around something that we don't often talk about. And what I have learned in my experience is sometimes we as women don't even know that we are not operating in that space. And so I thought it would be important to have a conversation. Let's see, Denise, you sent me the request. Let me go back. Yeah, thought I accepted it. So I just tried to accept again. All right, let me see if I can do it from my side. I invited you from my side. So hopefully that will work. We are wanting to have a brief conversation with you today. If you're listening, I know you are, go ahead and put in the chat kind of what is your day like today? Just give me some heads up. It's Thursday at the time of this recording. You may listen to it in a replay, so you can put hashtag replay to let us know that you are joining. I'd love to hear how your day is going. Okay, we're trying to be great here. So I sent you an invite. Give me some feedback. There she is.
Hey, Natalie.
Hey, I am loving those earrings. I see you.
Thank you.
We are I was just talking about self-love, this act of self-love, something I know you enjoy flowing in and talking about. But before we talk, tell the people who you are. I wanted you to share with them for a moment.
Yeah, so I am Denise Marsh. I am lover of everything that's life-giving and just here experiencing all the things that life is bringing, the good and not so fun, but just experiencing all of life. Professionally, I am a transformational mindset coach, and what I do is I help exclusively women learn how to prioritize themselves without the guilt, but with grace, and learn how to bring their dreams and desires to life, to live a more fulfilled life. Because we do just have this one known life on this earth that we're living. And so why the heck not live it in the way that is pleasing to you? So I do this through mostly one-on-one coaching and through retreats as well.
Oh, wow. Wow. And I love how you said to be able to do this without guilt and have grace. I think that's how I heard you say that.
Yes.
Yes, yes. I want to jump in and talk about that, this idea. And I've been really thinking about guilt as the emotion in the work that I do. It is to me one that doesn't have a face. It's that lingering bad feeling. So I wanted you to jump in and talk about guilt, the emotion of guilt, and how it could impact someone actively loving themselves.
Oh, yeah. Guilt is just everywhere. And I do really believe that a lot of guilt is something that we learned, as early as childhood. And a lot of people, especially if we're thinking about gender roles, a lot of people were told this is how you live based on who you are, what gender you identify with, where you live, who you associate with, this is what you wear, this is what you believe in, and we're told these things, not necessarily to condemn us, but when you're raised by people, they're basically teaching you their ways of being and living. And so the older we get, we may decide like, hey, this doesn't work for me any longer. I want to live my life in a different way, or I believe in different things. And if it goes against what you've been taught, how you've been raised, what you've been shown, a lot of times people carry guilt from that of wanting to do something different, or they're a little nervous or afraid to do it. And for a lot of people, and I know you've heard this in your line of work and just in conversation regularly, that so many people, especially those who identify as women, feel guilty about doing anything for their own self. Even something as simple as taking a bubble bath. If you
Mhm.
have kids at home, you're like, oh, should I take this bubble bath or go watch a movie with my kids?
Right.
And it's this, why can't I just do something for myself that feels good without feeling the guilt behind it? And that is something that I hear so many women talk about, is having the guilt of just doing something for themselves. So if you're having guilt about doing something small for yourself, even just self-care, bringing a dream or desire to life, that's like a no-go for so many people, because if it's not fitting in the norm or what everyone's expecting of you, a lot of people are really feeling challenged with actually following through with it.
Absolutely. And what I have seen, Denise, is, and what I know about guilt is guilt causes us to punish ourselves.
Hmm.
So it causes you to not be able to go after something you want, to not feel the way you want to feel. Like it just causes you to punish yourself over and over and over again. And so it is so common that it can be there. And we not even call it guilt. We just call it, sometimes we just think it's what we're supposed to do, right? You
Hmm.
were talking about those conditionings, right? I should, a good mom or a good wife or a good friend should,
Hmm.
whatever the fill in the blank is. And it leads us to not go after what we want or deserve or should rightfully have. Um, do you have a thought of something that you do to help people through guilt, overcoming guilt, anything in particular?
Absolutely. What we do when we work together is taking a good look at what you consider your life. And so a lot of people are just on, I know we hear people say you're just on autopilot, but it's kind of like what you're doing, just existing and just doing the norm. Like, okay, I wake up, I do this, I have my routine, and I go to bed. I get up, I do it all over again, I go to bed, and no one's looking forward to life. They're just existing in life. And so what we really talk about is, what is it that will bring you the most joy? What is going to fill you up? And really thinking about that. And a lot of the times, most people don't take the time to think about, what do I want my life to feel like? So
Right.
many people are concerned with what it looks like, right? But it can look good but not feel good.
Right.
And I would rather feel good over looking good, right? Looking good is just what everyone else is perceiving of your life, but feeling good is this is about you. And
Right.
again, because people are struggling with just being okay with what they want, and so they're so concerned with what everyone else is thinking or judging them, or but this is what they see or this is what they expect. Listen,
Right.
this is your life. This is it. And it is honestly, it truly is heartbreaking when you think of the amount of people who are not fully living their life. And I get it. Like for a very long time, I struggled. I struggled with major anxiety and depression for a long time. So I get what that feels like with just existing, but I also know what it feels like to heal. I know what it feels like to want to live and be in a different headspace and a different spirit space. So even those who may be listening, if you are in a dark space and you're feeling like, yeah, this sounds good, but you don't know my struggles. You're right. I don't. I don't know your struggle. But what I do know is that there is no mistake as to why you're listening to Natalie and I have this conversation. Maybe you need to hear someone say to you that this is your life to live and this is your time to live.
Right.
And so we really just take a good look at what life would feel like if you just made some changes that felt good for you. And it doesn't have to be complicated. It really is. Now, it does take some brave steps. That's true, right? But if you know the reward is going to be sweeter than what you're doing, then why not go for that?
Right, right. And the truth is you can't avoid taking steps, right? You're taking them even if it's in the direction you don't want to go. You're stepping,
Yes,
you're moving.
yes.
But you get to choose kind of the steps that you take. I love that. And I think that's an act of self-love, right?
Hmm.
Just intentionally taking a step, even if it's a crawl. We'll take a crawl
Hmm.
if you're moving in the direction of how you want to feel and what you want to create for yourself.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Absolutely. So go ahead. It looks like you had a thought. It looks like it's
Yeah,
coming up.
when you were talking about, sometimes it's not just even the walking, but just crawling. It's that intentional action. That
Mhm.
intentional action. And sometimes we have this big idea, like this big dream of, well, this is what I want my life to feel like and look like, but it just feels so big and out of reach. But if
Mhm.
you can just take an intentional step, just an
Right.
intentional action, it just gives you a little closer, but it's not even all about getting to the end goal or just getting to the big picture. It's what can I do today that will fill me up? What can I do today that's going to make me feel good?
Right.
And not enough people are asking themselves that question. They're so worried about everyone else. Everyone else. Like
Mhm.
you can ask people, tell me about the celebrity that you love. What's going on in their life? Tell me about your kids. Tell me about your friends. Tell me about your coworkers. What's going on with them? And they can tell
Right.
you. All right, now tell me what's going on with you. What what's going on with you?
Mhm.
What do
Right.
you want to do? Well, I mean, I what do you mean? What do I want to do? What do you want? Again, so many people are concerned with everyone else and not taking the time to think about what they want. And this is,
Mhm.
I mean, if you can just ask yourself that question every day, what is it that I want today? Just ask that question. What do I want today?
Mhm.
And how can I give it to myself?
Right. Right. Absolutely. And for those that listen to say, I don't know, because that's the thought that comes up, right? This I don't know. I often challenge them, Denise, to ask, well, what don't you want? Okay.
There you go. There you go, right?
That's
And
going
you
to be
know
some
too,
clues.
yes, and you know that I don't know is just sometimes I'm avoiding wanting to even figure it out, or afraid of what the answer is, or because they haven't given themselves the space to think about it. But I love that response. Okay, if you say I don't know, well, what don't you want? What don't you know? And also another way to think of it too is if someone says I don't know, okay, well let's pretend you do know. I
Mhm.
guarantee they come up with an answer. It's just that
Right.
auto response.
Right.
But man, take the time to think about this because what else are you doing if you're not living your own life? And again, that's not saying forget everyone else and I don't care about anyone else. That's not it at all. It's saying I care about me too. I
Right.
love me too. I consider me too.
Right. And you don't have to choose one or the other,
Correct.
right? That black or white
Nope.
thinking. Yeah, that
Mm-mm.
black or white thinking. So, Denise, I know we have been courageous enough to step out and create spaces. You were talking about sometimes women need space, right? They need support, they need to feel seen, heard, and celebrated. And we create spaces for that. So, I also wanted us to talk a little bit about retreats and how this fits into helping women to navigate this act of self love and
Mhm.
their path to finding what makes them feel good, what it is they want in life or want to create. Tell us about what you do in regards to that.
Yeah, so I create transformational retreat experiences, and at these retreats, they're each themed, but regardless of the theme, the core of the retreats are really to give women that space to really see themselves for who they are and who they're becoming, but also have that space to heal from the things that's been holding them back. And so, a lot of times when we are challenged or feeling like we're suffering from something, it's usually attached to something that we experienced in our past. And a lot of times people think like, well, it's the past, forget about it, it's over with. Well, if you're still struggling with it, then it needs to be addressed. And we do this without the shame, without the blame. This is coming from a place of love, compassion, and understanding, is that sometimes we are tethered to those traumas from the past, and we need to acknowledge them and then just look at them for what they are, not for what we experienced. And a lot of times people are replaying these traumatic experiences in a victim mindset.
Right.
And it's not to say that this did not happen to you. It's that you keep replaying it in the way as if you're experiencing it all over again, and it's keeping you held back. And so what we do is look at those experiences and look at it for what it is, not for what you experienced. And what that does, it helps you to like just release the hold that it has on you, so you're able to move forward with more grace, with more courage, and with more love and ease. And so through these retreats, they're truly transformative, and also the community, just having other people there who may not be going through the exact same thing as you are, but they can relate to the pain and to the feelings of guilt and the things that they've experienced, and then being able to have those breakthroughs,
Right.
that's power. That is power. And so, yeah, this retreats, I'm
Look at you.
thankful for the retreats. I'm like, I love my retreats. I love them so much. And I know you feel the same about yours and the experiences that the people that attend your retreats have as well.
Yes, and you said so much. I think I would add that we take them out of their comfort zone. We break up the routine of life, which
Mhm.
is what causes us to stay in these patterns, right? I
Yeah.
often teach you got to disrupt the pattern. And sometimes disrupting the pattern means we go across the world to Bali, right? We get on a
Yes.
plane for 24 hours. And break up
Mhm.
all of that, shake up all of that. But what I found is it helps them to start to explore. They start to explore this new place, the people, the culture, the food, and it opens them up to exploring possibilities for their lives.
Yes.
Something that we don't often give ourselves a chance to do. We daydream, right? Something that you don't
Mhm.
have the space or time to when you're in life moving. I love that being able to do that. And then for me, you probably will relate, Denise, it's always the perfect group of women that meet each time to allow that space for us to kind of have to do that work. I'm just so grateful for the work and being able to do that. Yeah.
Absolutely, 1 trillion%. It's so interesting because I like to look at retreats as surprise parties, right? Because when you
Mhm.
first start planning the retreat, you don't know who's
Yeah.
going to be there until they register, right? So it's always like a surprise party, and when they register, like, oh, they're coming to the party, and you're right, it is always the perfect group. It's just the perfect, like the cohesiveness of it, the ease of everyone in the group. It is such a sweet experience. But I feel that that also just confirms that the work that you and I are doing, it's in flow, right? It's aligned with our mission, and we're on the right path, and the right women are there because they're on their right path as well. And so we don't have to even force it. It's the right people will be there. And so I am thankful and appreciative of that too.
Right, absolutely. Which speaks to me about, as we're talking to everyone about the act of self love, how we have to get in flow and embody the work, right? Because then it comes through us as we are aligned with it. So I certainly have done my own work
Yes,
on this to be able
yes.
to be in alignment to serve in the way that we do. So yes, I appreciate it. Do you have other thoughts? I know we can talk because we talk often about stuff. We could talk all day, but is there anything else in your heart that you would want to share with someone in, as it relates to this?
Yes, absolutely. I'm feeling very called to say that I know that there's someone listening to this who they're listening and they're like, this again, it sounds good, but I don't know how to stop the feelings that I have. I don't know how to stop being a bully to myself. I don't know how to stop the negative self-talk. And what I'm going to ask you to do is to challenge your thoughts. Right? Our thoughts become our feelings and our feelings become our actions, right? And so if you can challenge the thought, so if you're having a thought of, I'm not enough, challenge that and say, and before it starts to spiral out of control, which you know it
It
will
will.
do, you challenge that thought and say, what's true about this? What's true about this? And then you can ask yourself, what's not true about this? Sometimes we let these thoughts just go off on their own, right? But if you can challenge the thought, if you're saying, man, I really would love to do this new project, but yeah, I don't know if I'm not ready. What's true about this? And what's not true about this? You know, I've had bad relationships in the past. Maybe I just need to be single. Like maybe, no one loves me. Like my own mom didn't even love me. My father wasn't there for me. So what makes me think anyone else would love me? I'm not lovable. What's true about that? What's not true about that? When we challenge our thoughts, it really helps us to shift our perspective on things. So I'm going to ask people to just challenge the thought. When it comes to yourself, challenge the thought. You don't have to take the first bully response. You don't have to take the first victim response. You can ask yourself, is this thought even helping me? Is it helping me? So challenge the thoughts.
I love that. Yes, because I don't think we often are taught that we don't have to accept those thoughts as true. and that
Mhm.
we don't have the ability we don't know we have the ability to challenge thoughts. I love teaching about the mind. It's an amazing thing, but if you're
Yes.
not careful, it can work for and against you. So being able to challenge those thoughts is one of the most powerful things you can do. I think of it too, like the first thought may be an automatic thought, so you don't have control over the first one, but guess what, that second thought, you can control that second thought, and ultimately you can control the first reaction. And
Yes.
that's what I love.
Yes.
That's what I
Yes.
love.
That's
Yeah,
it right there.
that's what I love. So, Denise, tell us, share. I'm going to share about retreats I'm hosting this year. Tell us about what you're hosting this year.
Yes. So I am hosting, I actually have three. We haven't talked since I came up with the third retreat, Natalie. We got to talk. But so I have three retreats coming up this year, and they are all group experiences. The first one I have is in Orlando, Florida, and that is May 16th through the 20th, and that is the Mindset Mastery for Womenpreneurs, where we're working on transformative strategies for income, impact, and confidence. And then I have another retreat coming up in September in Bali, and that one is working on focusing on self-friendship and inner healing, and that one's September 23rd through October 1st. And then I have a retreat coming up in November in the Poconos. And this one is for female authors who have already written their first book and ready to dive into their second book. But they are having some challenges with pivoting into this next space and carrying the guilt of knowing that they have grown since the first book and being conflicted with that new message. And so we have a few different things going on this year. And then 2025, I'm actually hosting my second annual Love Your Selfie cruise experience that is based off my book, Do It For Your Selfie. So, few things in the works.
Yes, I love it. And we have to talk more about the Poconos because that's new for me to hear. Yes, yes, yes. I love it. I love it. And what I love about what we do, Denise, is we know that there is space for both of us to do this work. And there's so many people who have been already assigned to our hands and
Mhm.
at different seasons. And so I appreciate that you can share and I can share, and that's okay. We can both share.
Yes.
I'm going to Morocco, Africa in June 22nd through the 25th. And we're going to talk about it's a reimagine your life in Morocco, where you're going to be able to craft the blueprint for the life that you love and you so deserve. I'm excited about going to Bali like you. We're sharing Bali. Bali is amazing. Flying across the world to get out of our comfort zones, but it's the ultimate reset. And it's going to be a reset for mind, body, and spirit. We picked the perfect place to do it because just being on the land will reset you. And then we're going to Temecula, California for a soulful oasis. So that one is for the woman who is soul searching and she knows
Mhm.
something is pulling her. She didn't have the language for it. She may not know exactly why things are shifting and changing, but she knows something is pulling her into her next. And so Soulful Oasis is October 17th through the 21st. And so I'm delighted that we get to do the work. We get to share. Denise, thank you for being my guest today and giving me the opportunity to share with the audience, your audience and my audience, about the act of self-love. I'll put Denise's information and she'll put it in the chat for those who want to connect with her and learn more about her work, as well as the retreat she's hosting for this year. And I'll put some of those as well. They're in my bio for those who are on my page. All right, y'all have a great Thursday and go love on yourself. You are so
Thank you,
deserving.
Natalie.
Bye. Bye for now.
Bye.